one of the most transformative habits in Stephen R. Covey's acclaimed book. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is the 5th habit. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. This represents a paradigm shift away from our natural tendency to seek first to be understood, to interpret everything through our own autobiography, rather than authentically getting inside another person's frame of reference. The 4 autobiography responses. Covey outlines 4 typical autobiography responses that prevent us from truly understanding another person. 1. Evaluating. We immediately agree or disagree before fully comprehending their perspective. For example, a wife might say to her husband, "I'm really struggling with feeling overloaded at work," only for the husband to respond, "Well, you took that job knowing it would be demanding." 2. Probing. We ask incessant questions from our own frame of reference and motives, playing the "did you" or "why didn't you" game. A manager may probe, "Why didn't you meet that deadline?" without understanding an employee's unique situation. 3. Advising. We promptly give counsel and advice based solely on our own life experiences, not theirs. A friend might advise, "You just need to be more disciplined with your finances," without understanding the nuances of someone else's financial circumstances. 4. Interpreting. We interpret their motives, behavior, and communication solely through the lens of our own autobiography. A parent might interpret a teen's moodiness as just a phase from their own experience, missing a deeper reality. These autobiographical patterns exemplify our single-minded desire to be understood, to order everything to our personal frame. They create an adversarial spirit of communication instead of one of mutual understanding. Empathic listening. To seek first to understand requires developing the skill of empathic listening, listening with the intent to understand the other person's paradigm, to actually get inside their frame of mind and see the world as they see it, before diagnosing or prescribing solutions. There are 4 levels of listening according to Covey. 1. Ignoring. 2. Pretending, saying "uh-huh" without really listening. 3. Selective listening, hearing only parts of the message like a parent listening to a child's story. 4. Attentive listening, paying attention to the words. 5. Empathic listening, seeking to understand feelings and meanings behind the words. Attentive listening alone is not enough. We may register the words and sounds, but we miss the human communication, the body language, the feeling, the meaning underneath. Empathic listening is about opening not just our ears, but our mind and heart to enter the perspective of another without judgment. The path to influence. When we authentically seek to understand first, it opens the door to creative solutions and dramatically increases our influence with others. As Covey states, if you're listening to understand, you're building the skills of empathy, which then increases your ability to influence. By truly getting inside another's frame of reference, we build immense emotional bank account reserves of trust and create a spirit of mutual understanding. This inside-out approach gives us a much deeper comprehension of the issue from which to then greatly expand our circle of influence. Covey contrasts this paradigm of seeking first to understand with the more common approach of first laying out our own autobiography and logic, trying to force our perspective. Most people go straight to the logos, the left brain logic of their ideas. They try to convince others of the validity without first taking ethos, personal credibility, and pathos, empathy for the other person, into consideration. The path to persuasion. Covey advocates the order of ethos, pathos, then logos, when trying to persuade or present ideas. 1. Ethos. Build up your personal credibility and character, so you have integrity. 2. Pathos. Empathize deeply to understand the other person's perspective, emotions, and situation. 3. Logos. Then provide the logic behind your idea or solution. Starting with logos or logic alone lacks the foundation of character and emotional connection to create buy-in and belief. It puts the logos cart before the ethos and pathos horses. When we seek first to understand through empathic listening, we establish unimpeachable personal credibility and a well of goodwill and emotional trust to work from. Then our logical reasoning stands a much greater chance of being not just heard, but internalized and embraced. The courage of understanding. Seeking to understand requires consideration. Seeking to be understood takes courage, states Covey. It takes courage and patience to truly listen with empathy, to process and validate another's perspective, even when we disagree vehemently. But this habit of first understanding represents the highest form of emotional intelligence and mature communication. Covey relates, "If I sense you're using some technique, I sense duplicity. I wonder why you're doing it, what your real motives are, and I don't feel safe enough to open myself up to you. Your example flows naturally out of your character, out of the kind of person you truly are." When we seek first to understand, to walk a mile in another's moccasins, we create an atmosphere of safety, trust, and creative synergy. Our character and motives are crystal clear. We validate others and make deposits to eventually have our perspective validated in turn. Application to relationships. This habit of empathic listening can be applied in any sphere of life, from our closest personal relationships to business dealings. For example, Covey suggests periodically having listening dates with your spouse or children, no agenda other than to completely understand them and their world. In business negotiations or presentations, diagnose first before you prescribe solutions. Describe the other party's viewpoint and concerns as well or better than they can before presenting your perspective. This establishes immediate buy-in, safety, and unquestioned good faith. In conflicts or difficult interactions, resist the tendency to emotionally evaluate, probe, advise, or interpret. Stay focused on listening to understand, rather than getting coerced into winning the argument. This softens hearts and allows new solutions to emerge. The bottom line: to effectively work through any conflict, persuade anyone of our viewpoint, or create lasting influence in any relationship, we must do the hard work of first understanding. As Covey sums it up, "If I were to summarize in one sentence, the single most important principle I have learned in the field of interpersonal relations, it would be this: seek first to understand, then to be understood. This principle is the key to effective interpersonal communication." This habit of seeking first to understand before being understood represents true emotional and psychological maturity. It's a habit that takes tremendous vigilance, empathy, and character to maintain. But the payoffs in increasing our circle of influence, creating synergistic solutions, and enriching all our human relationships are simply unmatched. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If something resonated with you, share your thoughts and personal experiences in the comments below. Your insights could be valuable to others. Now, a quick reminder: make it a habit to learn something beneficial every day. The content you consume is like food for your brain, so be intentional about it. Otherwise, the algorithm might start influencing your thoughts. Reflect on that. We're always accepting your contributions through subscriptions to our channel. Your support will help us with upcoming projects and ensure we continue delivering top-notch content. Join us by subscribing today.